At their spring meetings in January, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association voted to keep the football playoffs split between public and private schools for the 2014 season. Some private school coaches and supporters were outraged and filed a protest with the state Supreme Court. Of course, their appeal was denied because the state Supreme Court, ruled that the Louisiana High School Athletic Association is a private body and is not cannot be regulated by is not subject to cannot be controlled by the Louisiana state government. See, the vote was 2-1 in favor of keeping the split. So that tells you there was more than a little bit of support for keeping the playoffs the way they were. Last year was the first year the playoffs were split into public and private school divisions, and I believe it was very successful. Every high school football player dreams of playing for a state championship, which are held in the Louisiana Superdome, or as they call it, the Mercedes-Benz Superdome now, which I still call it the Louisiana Superdome. Every year, over 250 high school football teams take the field with two goals in mind: win a district championship and win a state championship. Although a state championship is much harder to win. Private schools have long had an advantage over public schools, particularly in the sport of football. Private schools can be selective about the students they let into their school, whereas public school has to take whoever lives in their town or whoever lives in their school zone. Private schools, they can deny admission to a student if they feel the student can't really help them academically or athletically, or if the student just can't pay the tuition. Private schools can, however, grant free tuition to lure star athletes to their school and to give them a competitive advantage. They can also throw at them the opportunity to get college scholarships by playing on a team loaded with talent that can, that can make them look a lot better. If they identify an athlete at another school, they can give them an advantage. They can offer them the free tuition, which they call scholarships. They can allow them to attend the school for free, even if they don't live inside their school zone. Private schools recruiting outside of their school zone is nothing new. One example that I know of is a little while back, Notre Dame Catholic High School in Crowley recruited a running back out of Welsh High School to come and play football at Notre Dame for his senior year. Now let's take a look at the term select when classifying schools. Private or select schools can be selective about the students they let into their school. Private select schools can deny enrollment to students if they determine the student is not a good enough athlete, or if there isn't any room on the teams. If it isn't good enough for the school to offer free tuition. Private or select schools can limit the amount of students they admit into their school in order to remain in a lower classification and compete against smaller schools. Let's see. Or some do it some manipulate their enrollment to keep them from playing in a classification with, say, John Curtis or Evangel, which are powerhouse football factories, which take the select school to the extreme meaning. There's other advantages private schools have over public. Public school. Tuition at some private schools are very high, which that's where the scholarships for the star athletes come in handy. The star athletes don't have to pay the regular tuition. They don't have to pay the high tuition rates that a regular student would have to pay. The biggest advantage private schools have over public schools is the recruiting. If public schools are caught using a player that's from out of their school zone, the school has to pay a fine and forfeit all the wins in which the player in question participated. By splitting the public and private schools, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association has evened the playing field for public schools in their quest to win a state championships. The split allows public schools a fair shot at winning a state championship by matching them with other public schools that have the same restrictions as they do. It also allows more teams to make the playoffs and more teams to have deep playoff runs, getting to the quarterfinals or the semifinals, and extending the high school football careers of, which is especially good for the players that are not going to be going on to play college football. Public schools no longer have to compete against private school giants like John Curtis and Evangel, which John Curtis has won a total of 23 state championships. Oh, what gives me closure on this issue is that my hometown high school, Kinder High School, won the Class 2A state championship last year over the Manning Tigers. Manning was the number 1 seed. It was a very competitive game, and Kinder ended up winning the game 34-20. It was Kinder's first state championship in 35 years, and perhaps would not have been possible without the playing field being even by the public and private split. Well, thank you for listening, and that is my informational speech.